Hey y'all, how's it going? It's Sway, and today we have another minion shakeup. Pirates are coming to the Battlegrounds today. So far, we've been playing with 6 minion types, and now we have our 7th. Let's talk about it. So first, I have to say, right, we're 2 days into a minion shakeup, 2 days into a new meta and a new season, and almost everything has a really, really nice win condition. Like, I'm really enjoying all of the new things. I have yet to win with like 1 or 2 minion types out of the 6, which is fantastic. Like, I do feel like, of course, there are things that are going to be stronger than others. That's just how games work. But everything feels pretty fun. Of course, there's our overpowered things. That's inevitable. But I'm really enjoying it. And I know the meta is going to consistently change the more and more we see new things added to the Battlegrounds. So, Pirates coming in today. Let's talk about what that means. Actually, before we talk about what that means, let's talk about what's leaving. So some of these are like lateral changes. Some things are moving around in the Pirates realm. However, some things are pretty different mechanics or different iterations of this kind of like money-centric focus of Pirates. So first, on tier 1, Swabby is leaving. There's a minion that's coming in that's kind of similar to what Swabby can do, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. On tier 2, we have the South Sea Captain leaving. This is the pirate aura with the attack value. However, we have our Rip Snarl moving down to tier 2 and only providing that +3 attack without the 3 health. So kind of similar to the South Sea Captain, a little bit more attack, and it is interesting to see Rip Snarl in this iteration. It is still on the attack as Rip Snarl was, so not an aura the way that South Sea Captain was. However, it is +3 attack. On tier 3, Pip is leaving. Pip is our first mate. Pip, you only need 2 to make a golden, so you could discover a pretty easy triple finder. It was not. It was kind of nice. I mean, I know people did not necessarily like the card, but it came in really, really clutch sometimes. Just having a copy of that and then finding one more copy and being able to discover was fantastic. Also on tier 3, Salty Looter is leaving. This is a big one. This is a big deal. When you think of a pirate build, right, you think of Hogger. Talk about Hogger. You think of Hogger, you think of Peggy, you think of Salty Looter, you think of Greta. Salty Looter was that pirate that scales as you play pirates, which, you know, that cycling nature of pirates, very, very helpful. So pretty surprised, pretty sad to see Salty Looter go. On tier 3, we also have our South Sea Strongarm leaving. This is the pirate that gave +1/+1 for all the other pirates purchased that turn, played that turn. Regardless, it was a Battlecry pirate that gave stats for all the other pirates that happened in that turn. And sometimes later in the game, combined with Bran, that was a lot of stats. So to see that go, it only specifically impacted pirates. So in that way, you know, definitely good for a pirate build. But pirates in general had this very like cohesive feel. So I'm sad to see that one go. On tier 4, this one was painful. This one was a sad one. We have Gold Grubber leaving. This is the pirate that gained a +2/+2 for each golden minion. Just a really fun unit, and it was pretty fun to play with like the quest meta and the buddy meta with Elise, and just there's a lot of silly fun conditionals with Gold Grubber. It is kind of a more passive scaling situation as opposed to, you know, the overall kind of active, really involved method of playing pirates. This was like the opposite of that, but it was still just Grubber was so good, so good. We're also seeing Vanessa Van Cleef on tier 5 changing from +2/+2 to +2/+1. A very minor stat change, but still a change. These next 3 hurt my soul to talk about. On tier 5, we lose Hogger. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. That is arguably one of the most, probably top 3 important pirate cards. Like, really, really necessary to get that like infinite build, to really get the money value when you have those insane turns where you spend like 30 gold in one turn. Hogger. It was because of Hogger. So sad to see Hogger go. However, I will say, I know a lot of people are very upset about seeing Hogger go, but the new minions, there's some pretty fun mechanics going on here and leans more into what I imagine pirate build looks like. So still have a lot of hope for pirates moving forward. On tier 6, we have 2 pirates leaving. This is like a really big deal, right? We have Eliza and Greta both leaving on tier 6. Eliza giving those stats for the Exodia build, that like Scallywag, Rivendare, Khadgar, Eliza, that whole build, that has been slowly dying. And I think clearly this is just the nail in the coffin. Like, goodbye to that build. We had a beautiful time together. Eliza moving on, and Greta being that spellcraft of making either a Naga or a Pirate Golden. This is, I don't want to say for sure, but I feel like this might be our first dual type minion we see leaving. Which, a lot of the things going on with Naga right now, I do feel like Greta in right now would have just been disgusting. Absolutely busted. However, I really enjoyed being able to like get a Hogger, go to 6, get a Greta, get some infinite value. Or if I was feeling spicy, I had some Scallywag, I had some Eliza, I had a Greta, and then I had a Rivendare, and I lived my best Exodia life without the Exodia and not nearly as much value as it used to be. But sometimes it's just fun to do that. So that being said, I don't even know if any of our videos so far we've had that many minions leaving to talk about. So this is clearly a very big change for Pirates coming for us. So let's talk about the new things coming in. As I mentioned, on tier 1, we have something similar to a Swabby in a way. We have our South Sea Busker. This is a battle cry of gain 1 gold next turn with a 3/1 stat line. So instead of reducing the cost of the tavern by 1, you gain 1 gold. So kind of similar in that way. However, gaining a gold is a little bit more flexible because you can use it in any way. You can use it on minions however you choose to use it. And really, that makes the South Sea Busker that much more valuable because you're basically paying 2 gold for a minion and technically 1 whenever you can sell the Busker as well. And it does work with brands, so you could gain 2 gold next turn. I think this is really, really, really good. Like, this is a fantastic unit. We already know what's going on with Caligos, so like, this 1 drop honestly could be pretty impactful. And like even Rylak, the Rylak stuff we got going on, that beast that procs the battle cries next to it, like, this is so good. This is so good. Another new minion on tier 3, we have our Gunpowder Courier. After you spend 5 gold, give your pirates +1 attack, and it does have that counter. And we have seen those functional UI changes of like seeing how much is left by a little counter on the bottom of the minion. So that'll be exciting for the Gunpowder. But it's a 2/4 pirate, and definitely we're seeing some attack buff here. We already saw that Rip Snarl move down to 2, giving attack on the attack. That's funny. Giving additional attack on the attack. And now we're seeing our Gunpowder, which is giving attack with gold spent. So we haven't seen any health buffs yet so far, but we have seen lots of attack buff. Speaking of attack buff, we have our Bloodsail Cannoneer coming back to the Battlegrounds. This is our battle cry of giving your other pirates +3 attack. This is a 4/3. So again, another attack buff on tier 3. Lots and lots of attack for pirates, lower on the health value. On tier 4, we have our Underhanded Dealer. This is the one I was probably the most excited about. So this is after you gain gold, gain +1/+1. This is a 2/2 stat line. So kind of feels in a way like Gold Grubber, where it's like gaining gold. This is on the instance of gaining gold, not the amount of gold gained. For instance, if you're playing Gallywix and you cycle a bunch of things and the following turn you start with like 20 extra gold for some crazy reason, it's not going to be an extra 20 plus 20 plus 20. That's not going to happen. It's going to be per instance. So Gallywix gaining gold is an instance. Like if you double battle cry a South Sea Busker, that tier 1 that gives you 1 gold next turn, that's probably 2 instances, I believe, because it's a battle cry triggered twice. So in that way, potentially, I am excited to see how well this works. I do think that it is definitely going to be a scaling unit. You sell something, you're gaining gold. So that's pretty sick. I'm excited for it. On tier 4, we have our Blade Collector. This is also damages the minions next to whomever this attacks. It's a 3/2 starting stat line. That is a cleave. That's a pirate cleave. We have a pirate cleave, y'all. So we lost our Hydra, we lost our beast cleave, and we gained a pirate cleave. That's pretty fun. I'm feeling some kind of way about it. Like, I really like that. Obviously, right, we've seen how absolutely strong Beast is. We got our insane Banana Slammer right now. The only real cleave that we have currently is Wildfire, and that itself is not the best cleave in the game. So having the Blade Collector is going to be really, really interesting. I'm curious to see how much this is going to change the Beast game. Also on tier 4, we have our Lovesick Balladist. This is a battle cry. Give a pirate +1 health for each gold spent this turn. Feels kind of similar in a way to the South Sea Strong Arm of giving stat line, a battle cry. So that works with Bran, of course. Gotta point that out. I love Bran. So that +1 health for each gold spent this turn could be pretty beneficial. Like, this could be very helpful. We haven't seen any health buffs. I mentioned before how it was a lot of attack buffs. We are finally seeing a health buff on this Lovesick Balladist. It is targeting one specific pirate, so it's not necessarily like an overall health buff, but even just one specific pirate having a little bit more health, like, even if it's kind of like incremental and you tripled into a 4 and you got this Lovesick Balladist and you're playing a Corpse Refiner build where you have like a few minions leading and getting some gold value, and the Balladist gives just a little bit more health to that Corpse Refiner and you're able to get just a little bit more gold value, feels pretty good. And that's at a very minimum, right? Like, there's a lot you could do with this. On tier 5, we have our Record Smuggler. At the start of your turn, gain 1 gold, repeat for each other friendly pirate. This feels very similar to what like Hogger kind of felt, right? You get extra gold in a turn, Record Smuggler doing that for us. And assuming you're playing a full board of pirates, that's 7 gold, right? And it's a start of turn effect. So when you're getting into those later turns, instead of starting with 10 gold, you're starting with 17 gold. It's still not as good as Hogger, of course, because you could do some really crazy things with Hogger, such as going infinite, having enough Hogger to be able to cycle enough to just get infinite value, or potentially even make money back on your pirates. So we're not getting that situation. However, this feels pretty healthy. On tier 5, we have our Upbeat Impressionist. This is another one of those upbeat cards with the end of turn effect. At the end of every 2 turns, make a random pirate in your hand golden. So we're seeing these hand buff situations. We're seeing these, making sure to conserve, right? We're having that a lot right now in this last 2 days, between, how Murlocs play this hand buff. Base Skill is such a good card, even if you're not running it in a Murloc situation, such a good card. Really enjoy it. And we have like our new hero, Voon, who has that end of turn effect with getting getting a copy of a card in your hand. So we are seeing a lot of value here. And because it makes a pirate in your hand golden, that means you play it, you get the triple effect as well. So like, pretend you just wanted to like bank a gambler and just have it. Like, that's fantastic. And the golden version makes 2 random pirates golden. There's a lot of ways to make this work really well for you. I like it a lot. And every 2 turns, honestly, is really not that slow. Like, it truly is not. I think it's going to be really good. Last but not least, on tier 6. I've been trying to figure out how to say this for a really long time. It's Fleet Admiral Tethys, I think. Tethys. After you spend 8 gold, get another random pirate. So this in combination with Record Smuggler feels like it could be pretty good. Like, even if, right, you're not necessarily getting all of the value in the universe with Hogger, this is a lot of value. Say you start with 17 gold in a turn. There's no way you can just start with 17 gold. You're going to be cycling things. You're going to be playing things. You're going to be selling things. So Tethys, every 8 gold within that, I had to do math really quick. It took me way longer than I wanted it to. Tethys is a minimum of 2 pirates, at a very minimum. And that's assuming that you basically just roll away your 17 gold. So that being said, I think that this is a really, really fantastic card. And I really do think that there's going to be some pretty fantastic snowball effects here. Like, think about it, right? You want to do a pirate transition. You get your Upbeat Impressionist. You get Drakari Enforcer. You have 2 Peggies in your hand. And then from there, both of those Peggies become golden. You play both of them. You triple into Tethys. You have a Record Smuggler that you find in the shop. Like, there's so much scaling to be had here. And I really, really think it's going to be a great situation. Now, all that being said, which minion types are pirates going to be good against? Well, I have really high hopes that pirates are going to be good against beasts. Usually, right, I would say that stats like big, chunky minion stats don't do well into summoning boards, which is factual. However, Blade Collector changes a lot of things. Like, really, it does. There's no cleave, as I mentioned right now, really. There's Wildfire, but aside from that, not really a good cleave situation, and Blade Collector is introducing that into the game. So we know that there's definitely some pirates that are quite powerful. And that Banana Slamma is just, especially because it stacks, just absolutely nutty. So some could say it's bananas. I'm sorry. Okay. So having the ability to remove multiple minions at a time with Blade Collector, if it's used correctly, could be really, really good. Now, seeing that your opponent is running a pirate board and you're running a summoning board, I think it's going to be a really hard thing to remember that you have to play around with the fact that there could be a cleave, because you see 7 pirates and you're like, it's fine, everything's fine. It's not fine. It is not fine. Could be a cleave. Watch yourself, watch your positioning. But yeah, I think that I'm really, really hopeful that Blade Collector is going to be good into that. And I think that there's a lot of scaling to be had on the pirate side. So I'm hoping that fact in and of itself will be enough to kind of get through some of these boards. I also think that potentially, also because of Blade Collector, could be good against Murloc. We're seeing a lot of Death Rattle in Murloc now, which, you know, we had the tier 5 that had a Death Rattle. Aside from that, not a lot of Death Rattle in Murloc prior to. But now we have this, like, almost this hand summoning situation between the base skill, between the Belcher. There's a few things where Death Rattle is valuable, especially with the base skill. So I'm thinking that maybe the ability to remove multiple units at a time and having a very high attack value, so being able to get that Blade Collector through maybe 2 or 3 units is going to be really, really beneficial. That being said, pirates are also at a big liability into Murloc because of Venomous. We know we've seen the effect of Venomous only having that first hit and nothing more than the first hit. However, if you only have 7 units on the board that don't summon anything else, which there's literally just Scallywag. Scallywag is the only summoning unit, and it barely, like, it's a 1/1. However, that could remove that Venomous hit. But you know, we're basically having 7 minions on the board when we're playing a full pirate build. That's with really not a lot of wiggle room. Like, you can do the selfless Rivendare package that people often run with pirates prior to. But aside from that, you're not really protected against Venomous. Another minion type that might be a little bit hard to get through for pirates is dragons. We have seen how strong dragons are, but just the fact that the shields are so easily and readily available for dragons, right? With Nadina, multiple Nadinas, you know, there's a few dragons already with shields. So in that way, I am a little bit worried about being able to get through those shields. But, you know, we have Tunnel Blaster, we have Selfless. There's a few different ways to deal with that situation. Let's talk about heroes to play with pirates. Of course, our summoning heroes versus our economy heroes. It's going to be the economy heroes. Greybow doesn't have a lot of play here. Scallywag, that is literally it. So aside from that, you know, we have a pretty strong just cycling economy situation here, and just lots of battle cries to play. Well, some battle cries to play, lots of things to cycle. I'm happy we still have our free dealing gambler in. We have our pretty high value tier 5 and 6 units, the new ones, Record Smuggler, Impressionist, and Tethys. I think that it's overall going to be a very good situation for an economy hero. And I will say, I often have a lot to say about, this is one specific hero that came to mind for me just now, Pyramid, because I just feel like it's not necessarily that strong. However, when you are playing a minion type like this that doesn't really have that health buff in the early game, like, playing Pyramid may actually be okay. I think I'm going to eat those words, and I really hope that I don't have the opportunity to try playing Pyramid with pirates, because I love Pyramid, but compared to other heroes, just not that strong. But I do think in this situation could potentially be useful. I think that there's a lot of fun to be had here. I'm really excited for it. We'll see pirates in the Battlegrounds a little bit later today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you're feeling about the game so far, what you think of the new season, how you think pirates are going to change things, and I will see you on the Battlegrounds. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, everyone.